Okay, all right, we're going to start the review now. So, the recap, the last chapter had Saturn first come to ashore at Egghead because he knew he had to take charge of the situation because Kizaru was not able to finish things quickly. And that was my favorite part of what's happening so far in that present point is Luffy did really well. But let's put that aside. The Saturn came there and he had some of the Straw Hats and Vegapunk and Bonnie pinned down. He's using some kind of ability. I think it's still something like Conqueror's Hockey, but maybe combined with something with ability with his, because he's some kind of, was it a yokai? Spider yokai or demon or something like that. But like, so nothing's ringing any bells to me specifically to him being like that. But the flashback started because Bonnie must have found out something concerning Saturn, given the go-ahead to have Kuma become the way he is now. And the flashback is Kuma's flashback, and we're seeing this now. And instead of this being because Kuma's there and we get it like a flashback, like we do with like Robin or Brooke and all that, I think we're seeing this through like kind of like we're highlighting stuff that Bonnie saw several chapters ago when she so Kuma had some way of taking his paw fruit and making memories in a bubble, which I think is kind of interesting that Oda thought of a way to do that because it reminds me of the thing in Harry Potter, that bowl, that shallow bowl, that thing, Pensieve maybe it's called, that Dumbledore used to put memories in, and he would review them to help him. He was like using them, especially in the fourth book, to like review like things that he was trying to piece together what was going on with the Triwizard Tournament, and he used it to show Harry important stuff later to help deal with Voldemort. So I'm not sure. Then did they say why Kuma? I'm wondering why Kuma has these memories here. Oh wait, no, duh. Probably because I wonder. I think I did say this before that Kuma would probably need to would use these memories could probably go back to him, and he would become himself again in mind. He's been turned into a cyborg like even before Thriller Bark, but it seems like some point after that is when these memories were taken out, and they've been sitting here in Vegapunk's lab ever since. So so we jump to a flashback showing even when Kuma was a baby, and then years later and we find out he is part of a special tribe, which I still wonder if like Big Mom and the others are part of because he's abnormally large. I still looked up, and I looked it up too because Big Mom is still listed as like the tallest human, I believe, in the One Piece world, and Kuma is like I think taller than Kaido and Whitebeard, but not as tall as Big Mom. So anyway, the tribe we know confirmed that Kuma's part of is called the Buccaneers, and the world government was after them, and his father knew he was being pursued by the government back then. This was almost 50 years ago now, and they eventually caught up to him because they figured they had Cypher Pole agents combing around areas and looking, and they found him in the Sorbet Kingdom and took all three of them as slaves. And unfortunately, the mother and father both die. And then that was a point too where Kuma hears about the story of Nika from his dad, and something I missed. I guess in the last chapter, right after Kuma's dad's telling him about the Nika, he's actually shot by the right here. Is that it? Oh yeah, I did miss that. Right there, he's dancing around, showing a little dance to Kuma, and it's. I thought the guy just busted in there, the Celestial Dragon, and was yelling, "Pipe down!" But he's also carried a rifle, and he shot Kuma's dad, and you can see the smoke coming off the gun, and then Kuma's dad is laying off to the side, just enough to see that he's bleeding out there. So I missed that. So the main thing with the last chapter left us off at, which And then this whole next chapter's pivotal and focuses on is the Celestial Dragons have a game every year where they go to an island and they just wipe the population off. And I think it's always an island that's not affiliated with the world government. That's kind of funny though, given how much they like to get away with everything. I would have thought that would not matter to them, that they could just hide whatever their activities. Just a moment, I'm gonna get some coffee. Yeah, so it's real surprising that the Celestial Dragons only pick islands that are not affiliated with the world government. It makes sense, but this competition seems to happen quite a bit. I think it was like every 3 years. So like, how do they not run out of islands? There's lots of islands in the One Piece world, but I don't think there's enough for them to get away with this often. It's a little it's just interesting. So the chapter ended with the chapter ends. We see the younger Sink. What's his name? Sink Garling. The Shanks' dad, I guess. And we also get introduced at the end to Ivankov and someone named Ginny, and who everyone's assuming is Luffy's mom, I guess. That'll be interesting if true, but I'm just gonna wait and see. I feel like Oda could make us think that, and that's I think he just has a tendency to throw us for a loop, kind of. So we shouldn't fall for that. But Ivankov and them showed up because they're part of this competition. So let's finish this competition. Also, they brought in a bunch of slaves that includes Kuma, Ivankov, and Ginny, and there's a point system going on, and there's devil fruits as a prize apparently, and the Kuma and because Kuma, especially particularly, and some others are because he's a buccaneer, they're considered special in the competition. They're still going to be killed, but you're awarded more points for it. Anyways, so this chapter is called. So in this, the chapter ended off showing that Kuma and Ivankov and Ginny were going to team up. Kuma was trying to escape initially, and everyone's part. These slaves are in little groups, and the other people on his team had captured him because if they would get punished if one ran away. Like, I'm assuming Kuma would have tried to escape, and he what do you call it? So if he wasn't found, the others would be punished severely. So anyways, this chapter's title is Kumachi. Wait, so what does that mean? I should have looked that up, what that's about. So we continue right where we left off, but now we're back to this center area of God Valley, which is somewhere in the West Blue, by the way. To reiterate, we all thought it was in the Grand Line, but it's not. They're there, and all the slaves are starting to run off. Let's see, and then there's we see then St. Garling and a bunch of other Celestial Dragons getting hyped up to kill these people in a competition, and we get introduced to some of the point system. There are 13 of these slaves, or I'm assuming that's just the slaves and not, because there was also a point thing for like people on the island, and the king was considered a special in that case. Like he would get 10,000? You'd get 10,000 points or 100,000 for that, and what was that here? And Saint Garling, who at this time too doesn't seem to be isn't the head of the God's Knights. He's the come on, where did you just go? 1 second here. Why is this doing this to me? I had this chapter up. Come on, open up again. Where was that? 10,000 or right here. 10,000, yeah. So they gave him negative 10,000 points. And some of these are, the special rabbits, as they call it in this translation, are worth 10,000 points. And then there's 150 more. So they have 163 people, other slaves, I guess, other slaves. Slaves are gonna, well, maybe they brought some slaves with them for other stuff, but these slaves are being let out onto the island and are part of this game. And it doesn't mention the points of those. And they talk about prizes for this, which it turns out to be some devil fruits, which I don't know. That's an interesting question too. Has any of the celestial dragons ever ate devil fruits, or do they forbid that in some way? Because Boa and her sisters, Hancock, I keep calling Boa as her first name. Hancock and her sisters were given devil fruits, and they were just slaves, and were given devil fruits while they were slaves. And of course, there's other awful stuff that must have happened, but there's something about that and what's happening here makes me think that devil fruits are not allowed to be eaten by the average celestial dragon. They probably look down upon it in some way even. There's something to this here that makes me think whoever won these devil fruits, say St. Garling wins, because he looks like he's one of the best at this competition. When he take these devil fruits, or devil fruit, may say only is one awarded per the top 3 or something. When they take those devil fruits and give them to a slave of their own for further entertainment. So, for example, what we find out here is that Kaido's fruit is one of the prizes, as well as Kuma's fruit. So, what if Kaido, what if the Azure Dragon fruit was taken by Garling or someone else? Would he give it to a slave, and then they'd have a giant dragon? They could, once the person's an adult. Actually, that's something too. Kaido and then eventually Momonosuke are quite tall. I wonder if the size of the person is totally part of why the size of the dragon. Because when Momonosuke was a little kid, when he's 8, he's a tiny dragon. He's like maybe, what was he, like 10 feet long, 20 feet? Not more than that. And Kaido looked like he was like 2 to 3 miles long, as in his main form, his giant form. And he's like one of the tallest characters who's human form. So like, what if a giant ate that, for example, and could they become an even bigger dragon, like twice as long as Kaido, if he or she ate the fruit? Yes. What was I getting at? Yeah, the devil fruits. Whether or not they are, eaten by celestial dragons. So we start with Garling and these other celestial dragons. And are those other gods' knights maybe? See the other celestial dragons who aren't wearing their masks. Now they have some unique looks to them, so I suspect some of them are the gods' knights. One's wearing a gas mask. I think it's a guy, and he's got long hair, pretty long hair coming down, and he has the number 46 over his one eye on the mask, also wielding a blade. We see 2 more below here, and one's wearing this big, thick hat, also has really long hair, and is carrying a gun. And one more has a short bowl cut, and it looks like you're wearing the ruffles of like a 15th or 16th century British royalty outfit. And the one with the hat and the gun has a line there where he it might be a girl or boy, I can't tell. And that one wants to wants to win a trophy for his specific family. And the other one with the mask says I'm not going to let you win, Garling. And Garling talks down to these other ones like, watch closely, kids. I'll show you how it's done. And then we also show the they're sending these guys out, and they're giving them on 1 hour to run ahead. And it looks like there's 200 world nobles there who are part of this game to participate in this. And so next now we jump to the Marine headquarters of the time, which I think is still Marine Ford. Yeah, because Marine Ford was there, and now it's the other place. There's another place because they wanted to place it in the New World now. And we actually get to see Kong when he's a lot younger, and I'm assuming he might be the fleet admiral here. You can tell he looks. The main difference, I almost didn't know it was him at first. I had to go look it up because he doesn't look quite as muscular as he looks like 40 years later. He's got that same hair, and he's got a coat on. I can't tell. I'm guessing fleet admiral. And he's and so he's contacting Garp, and because so we already saw that there's a lot of security around God Valley, but Kong receives information that worries him that pirates are coming to the island, and we know what's coming. So they receive some intel, though. Actually, it brings up something quickly too. Yeah, and how they know exactly what the pirates are doing. How are they tailing these pirates all the time? They must have Cypherpole and other people combing around, possibly tailing them. And Kong is contacting Garp, who's at this point on a vacation. He actually wasn't even planning on going there or anything. So I wonder still if Dragon was even there. Because I don't think we see Dragon here. We don't get confirmation that Dragon came along, as I saw some people speculating about, which was a neat way to tie in Dragon. Damn. And so Kong wants Garp to go to God Valley and provide extra security. And he won't tell Garp why, though. He knows Kong obviously is privy to what's going on. He's probably the one who was in charge at this point of making sure there's enough security to go with Celestial Dragons as they make an excursion off into one of the seas. Okay, so Garp understands what's going on, so he's not stupid to this, but Kong is a little surprised by something he knows here. So Kong, so apparently something they stole, the world government stole something from Hachinosu Island, which is probably the devil fruits we see here. And now the intel concerning that Kong's talking about concerning the pirates is that the pirates are coming to the island because they know the treasure is there. Not that they're particularly interested in going after the celestial dragons. That's the way this is implying it. And the part here is interesting that scares but Kong is surprised by is that Garp knew enough about has knowledge about what happened. That the world government somehow stole something, and he says here, it makes sense that they would come and try and get it back, and then Kong is like, Garp says like, what are you worried about anyways? You guys, you knew you'd be going out with a bunch of celestial dragons, and you would send a big escort. What are you worried about? And this part bothers me a little bit there, but wait, I'll leave that for a second. And what makes Garp end up going to God Valley is that Kong tells him that Roger's also planning on going there, and this is where it gets Garp excited to go there. So two things: rocks we already know is dangerous. Apparently, since Goku told us in hindsight, told us that at this point, rocks is already a dangerous pirate to be reckoned with. I don't get why Garp would not be concerned just enough about that, and knowing that since devil fruits apparently were stolen from Hachinosu. See, the thing is too is he calls it the treasure of the pirate island. So I wonder too if that means Rox had gotten these fruits and was planning on giving them to someone else on his crew, the way that like Blackbeard's doing now, where he's giving devil fruits to everyone. Dang. So anyways, the thing that is interesting too, though, is Roger at this point is already considered a dangerous and formidable pirate. because Kong even said, I didn't expect Roger to be coming to the island too. So they're already figuring out following him. They know about Rock's going there too. So they're tailing all the big pirates back then. So now we switch back to, we briefly switch to Hachinosu Island, and we get this little voiceovers of the other pirates commenting on how their rock pirates are heading for God Valley. And the other pirates are like, oh my God, this is going to be something that the world will never forget, essentially, with them going to an island where they know that celestial dragons are there. Now we switch back to the main stuff. We get to not main stuff. Now we're on to God Valley, and we switch to Ivankov talking to some of these other slaves and trying to rally them together. So Ivankov seems to understand fully like what this game's all about, and so he's rallying them by also telling them the truth about something here. So some of these slaves explain that they're told if they can survive for 3 weeks in this game, they'll be set free. And Ivankov, the funny thing is Ivankov, because Ivankov somehow knows that, no, that's not true. There was a tournament before this, and no one came back from it. So, maybe he just overheard it from the celestial dragons while he's been a slave. He said, no, they won't let us go. I heard about a tournament before. They never let anyone go. And then someone else is like, one of the other slaves is like, but why would they tell us that then? And he explained something that I think should be somewhat obvious. Hope. They want to give the slaves hope, make them fight for their lives, do whatever they can to survive, instead of becoming kind of like how Kuma was here in the last chapter, where he's like, what do you call it? After his parents died, he lost hope and didn't really want to even live anymore. So he explains that to him, and so then Ivankov too explains, like, don't fall for that stuff. Instead, come with me, and we're gonna find a way to escape from this shitty game. So him and Ginny got a plan, and this is partly about having what the other pirates are gonna arrive. But first we switch briefly to St. Garling, and we see him riding around on some kind of mount that looks like a bird of some sort, and he's cutting down slaves here. And then we get an announcement from one of the other, probably who's ever like commentating or keeping a tally on the game, and he's already got 10,000 points back. And that actually means he must have killed at least 2 people now, because they gave him a negative 10,000 when he killed the king of this island. And what are they showing that for? So they show Denda and Mushi. Is that like, it must be surveying that's probably Denda and Mushi surveying the game to keep track of the points. And we have this brief little panel too where it shows Marie-Joie, and I don't know what they're showing that for, but they show like some kind of sound effects or something. Something I'm probably missing there. So now we get to Ivankov and Ginny's plan. First they have like a fisherman help them, wait, what was I saying? He lays out this plan. So anyway, they lay out this plan here. This girl Ginny is Ginny, and she talking about what the prizes are, and this is where we get the showing that one is Kaido's fruit, one is Kuma's fruit. So at the time, obviously, no one had them. Kaido didn't get it till right at the end of this incident, and Kuma, we'll see. So, so right here, she explains next, so Kuma's plan, Ivankov's plan too, is to get these devil fruits, eat them, and use them as a means to escape. Because since one can turn you into a dragon, you can fly, and the other one with the pop-out, you can technically fly also. So Ivankov wants to have someone there eat the fruit and help them escape. And so he's explaining this to Kuma and some other unnamed slaves who are standing here, and some of them are like, that's not gonna work. How are we gonna how are we gonna get to them? They're dead center of the island, and we'll never make it through. And we'll never, how are we gonna escape from the Marines as well? And this is where Ginny brings up that what she's done is using Denda and Mushies. She's been broadcasting information out to outside the island that these devil fruits are here, and maybe mention that the celestial dragons are here. Give an incentive, especially for what we just heard between Garp and Kong, for the Rocks crew and other pirates to come and get these devil fruits. I think because the other pirates are gonna be coming, and I suspect that's because some of them hoping to get their hands on the devil fruits before Rocks does. But so she's been doing it for 2 weeks now. Or started 2 weeks ago. She's been this girl Ginny's been broadcasting information, so she's sure someone will be coming, and boy, are they. So now we switch here to, the next part of this is first is that Kuma, Ginny and Ivankov want a decoy to help, probably to get rid of any security near the devil fruits, I'm guessing, and then Kuma volunteers for this. And I forgot, Kuma doesn't have any hair at this point. He doesn't have that big afro. So he volunteers for that, which impresses Ginny and Ivankov, because he points out how he doesn't want anyone else to die, and because he's a big tough kid, he's the best to be the decoy. So now we switch to Ginny's part, the part of the plan that Ginny's talked about that is working, and that's other pirates start coming up to the island, and they're taking out multiple marine ships with artillery. And we start seeing Marines surveying through binoculars, like what's going on. There's where are these pirates coming from? And they start naming off the ones that are coming. So they got Rocks coming, and we see, and they say other infamous and well-known pirates are coming as well. They actually only mention, I think, Roger as well in a moment, but I don't even think we see Rocks here, but we get his voiceover, and some of so now obviously the Marines are in panic and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do, because now they're being overrun by lots of pirates, and we see Rocks' ship coming up, and you hear his voice saying, "Get out of our way! You can't stop us, and follow me, fellow pirate, the others." And this is where we get a panel here where we see a whole bunch of the other Rocks pirates. Actually, I should pull that up. Some of them obviously were recognized right away. Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard. Rocks pirates. Oops. Wait, where'd that go? What are the members they show that are there? Shiki, John. Oh, that one must be John. Okay. I was wondering what that one was. So they show a bunch of them. First they show a big panel, and they show, you can see Shiki, Whitebeard, Stussy. Yeah, we even see Stussy, not Stussy, the original Buckingham, I should call her. Big Mom and Kaido. And there's someone else there too, and she's got a snake with her that looks like the kind of Hancock and her grandmother has. Was that, or whatever. So someone obviously from Amazon, Lily, a member of them, is here too, and I'm not sure who she's supposed to be. And it looks like even at this point, Big Mom's got her what's her Prometheus? She's got Prometheus in her hand, and so yeah, these guys are out here competing. It looks like to get the devil fruit back. And the interesting thing too about this bit is when Rocks is ordering them to go forward and follow my lead. It looks like when Whitebeard gets upset with that, and this is funny because we were under the impression that Whitebeard is part of the crew, but the way he responds by saying, "I'm not your underling," or "you can't tell me what to do" type line is so. And then the other ones here are all getting quite excited. We see Shiki, Kaido, and Big Mom in particular. And Big Mom's asking about the rules of sorts of they're doing like the first one that gets the fruit wins. And is that Shiki? No, actually might be Shiki saying that. And then Big Mom says, "No, I'll be taking the. I'm the one who's gonna win it." And Kaido's behind her saying, "Wait, why should you get them? You're not gonna be. You couldn't eat one of them anyway because you already have your own devil fruit." So who's that there? So someone's on Whitebeard's back right there, and I wonder if that's the original Buckingham when she was young there. And there's then the other woman too. There's an exchange there that is Stussy, yeah, the original Stussy. So the other woman comments something to her about how you're shameful. I'm missing something with that, but anyways, I see that Captain John is also. Well, I'll just call him John at this. But John is there too. I had to look up on the wiki because he's drinking out of a bottle the way we saw him in Thriller Bark, and we saw the nice lineup of all these people. And we see a couple of their faces here too. I'm not sure who they're supposed to be. So we get this exchange with them here in the next part, and it's like Whitebeard says to the others, like, we gotta make sure the fruits are even here. Rox is just jumping the gun, and then Shiki yells at him like, don't try and boss me around. And then Big Mom is next and just saying, I'm going to steal him quietly and get out of here. She wants to obviously, so it almost sounds like she's planning on, her and Whitebeard, I noticed too, are both like clearly showing they're not going to listen to Rox that well. So she wants the fruits, I'm assuming, of it to give it to her children. And Kaido comments on, oh, I see Roger's here too. We got to be careful with that guy. And someone else tells him to calm down, rookie. And then we get, who is that? Is that probably Stussy? Commenting about will be a deciding battle. And we see two other faces here too, and I don't know who they are. Like the one looks like he has a helmet on, and the other one's just a silhouette. Is that maybe Rox? It's supposed to be a silhouette of Rox? It's hard to say, but we get a really good panel of these guys as they were years ago. And oh, by the way, too, I see that Big Mom has her same hat on. She's always wearing the one with is that where homie is at? Napoleon, I think. So next, and then in the next panel, we get we start first by seeing like going back to the shoreline, and more pirate ships are blowing up there. And we switch briefly to the Celestial Dragons yelling at the Marines, like, what are you guys doing? You're supposed to be protecting us and all that. And then we get back to the outline of the island, and other reports from the Marines are coming in. More pirates are showing up out of nowhere. Take care, like, they're talking about, the orders are being sent out, like, watch out for this shore. The west shore is getting overrun. And like other people commenting, like, how the hell did they even know where we are? This is supposed to be secret. So then we switch briefly, smaller panel, see Roger and the others coming ashore. Also, by the point, at this point, obviously, I've just actually caught this though. We get a younger Roger. So we saw him last, the youngest thing we saw with him was with him as when he met Rayleigh. And they didn't show his eyes at the time, but now we see him in his, 38 years ago, shoot, how old was he when he died? In his 40s? 20, so he's like in his late 20s, early 30s. We get a good look at him here. He's dressed similar to how we saw in Odin's flashback, but he's also still got the straw hat on and it's flying behind him. He's got his same dark captain's coat, that's probably like, I think it was red, and then he had the white shirt. And he's carrying Ace, and we have Rayleigh there, and what's his name, Scopper Gadon, I think, and wait, where'd that go? Yeah, and Scopper's like, we're telling Roger, like, you can't take no using that captain privilege stuff this time to try to get to fight certain opponents that I may want to fight. I'm assuming because he did that with Odin, which was years later though. Him and Rayleigh were ready to go up against Odin, and Roger's like, "No, I got this," and they're like, "You just want to fight him." And there's actually some other members there we see. I don't even think we've seen them before. Like there's one way in the behind with the long hair and the dark clothes. And there's one that looks kind of like a Viking there. And we get Rayleigh there with his sword, and he's just commenting how this is going to be a rough battle. And Roger's line too is something I'm not sure. He says it's been a year. Do you know what that feels like in this translation? And I'm wondering if he's just referring to like he's been bored or something, or it's been a while since he fought the other pirates, because he looks really pumped up in this part. So I don't know, and I'm curious if his goal here was to get those devil fruits the way the Rocks pirates are. And so now in the next panel too, we briefly switched back to St. Garling, and he's railing up his other knights down nearby, and he's telling the Marines to fall back and let them handle these main pirates. And we get a viewpoint too of a couple of them. We don't see one. We can't really see the face, I think. It's hard to see their face, but it looks like they're carrying some kind of spear or something. And there's a woman right behind Garling that you can get a bit of her face. She just looks like a very fit woman with long dark hair. We can't really see her eyes. And then the next bit, we're seeing bits of like the slaves, like what the hell's going on? This is becoming crazy. And the same thing from the Marines. They're like, Roger's pirates are here and Rocks are here. This is we're gonna probably all be killed. And then they get Hope in the form of Garp coming in. We see him. It's the same kind of panel too. I noticed funny thing is I just noticed when Whitebeard and the others come, we're looking at them they're all coming from the left side of the panel. So I have to do it the other way. They'll come from the left side of the panel. And then when it shows Roger and Garp coming, they're being shown from the other way, coming in, jumping in, and arriving. And all three, I noticed they got like Roger, Garp, and Whitebeard more front and center in each one. So Garp's coming in and he's got his fists ready. And he's yelling, "Tell me where Roger is." And I think that's Bogart there down below. Yeah, it's got to be. He's got the hat and the sword. And and you see some of the Marines that were previously disheartened by the arrival of these pirates, screaming like, "Oh, we're saved," because Roger's Garp's there. So at this point, with all the chaos happening, Ivankov and Ginny's plan is coming to fruition as they point out all this chaos. We can get to the devil fruits, and we see him and Kuma and Ivankov each holding one of the devil fruits and about to eat them. And but right at that moment, Big Mom has arrived, and she jumps in and tackles Kuma and takes the fruit from him. And then she's starting to also run after Kuma, and Ivankov at that moment says, "Hurry up and eat it. Don't think about it. Just hurry, so one of us can get one of these powers that will help us have a chance to escape." And he does do that. So obviously here at this point we can see that when Ivankov was holding Kaido's fruit at that moment, and she got that one, and so now we know how she got it as well. And so this part's interesting because it kind of jumps around a little fast at this point. So Big Mom was just there, and we see her in the background holding Ivankov, and Kuma eats his fruit, the pawpaw fruit, and then suddenly Saint Saturn just appears here, and I thought it was just interesting because we never see him and Big Mom face off here. I was hoping for this. He comes there, and he's trying to make sure that Kuma specifically doesn't escape. He says like, "Yo, you're that child of the Buccaneer tribe. You're meant to be a slave forever and die like one. We're not going to let you escape." And he goes on to say this has been decided through the course of history. Almost like the Buccaneers previously had been always been slaves. Yeah, they must have. I think they implied that in the last chapter, actually, that they were always slaves. So Kuma gets up here and he just makes this interesting speech. He's like, "Oh, it's always been weird to me that people like you are great from birth." Like, oh, first he asks, like, "You're a great person, aren't you?" It's always been weird to me how you guys can just get to be great from birth. And then he goes on to point out, wait, oh, how's it go? There's no point in being a slave from the moment of your birth. But he goes on. He basically goes on here. Kuma's like, "Well, I'm gonna use this power now to save as many people as I can. Save as many people as I can, just like Nika." And Saturn goes to say, "That's why we can't let you survive." When he wants with that Nika thing, obviously got under Saturn's skin a little bit there because he wants to make sure that Nika obviously doesn't come back, and so he doesn't like. He wants to. I'm guessing he meant here he was going to kill Kuma because we can't have you spreading those stories either. And then unfortunately, this flashback of this point ends right here. This is why I said earlier we don't get anything else about what happened exactly. The last thing we see here after Saturn commenting on it to Kuma, it shows we see God Valley with all this doom and gloom clouds overhead, lightning around, and it looks like Rox and Roger are together at some point, and someone just says, "Wait," I think it's Roger saying, "Wait, Rox." Yeah, and then Rox says, "Don't get in my way, Roger." And then we just end with these panels, the little text boxes saying, "This incident will vanish into the history of darkness, the darkness of history." So we don't see anything else, unfortunately, at this point of what happened, which I'm not too surprised, but I was kind of hoping to see a little more of a clash with like Rox and Garling maybe. But I'm guessing that Oda's going to wait until Blackbeard's flashback or something with the final island to really show us that. So now we switch. We're still in a flashback. We switch to seeing Kuma, Ivankov, and Ginny, and they have escaped back to the Sorbet Kingdom, his homeland, and so they must have escaped. Yeah, it looks like they escaped before this entire shit went down afterward. That they were just at, because then they talk about, look, we don't know much else about what happened. That the reporter in the paper's not talking about much except that Garp defeated everyone. Well, Rox, because we know Roger still runs amok for a while. And one of them even says, Morgan is such a shitty reporter. We can't trust him to tell the truth. So they're implying, too, like, we know that something else went down there. It's not just Garp, obviously, who would have won. There were so many powerful pirates there. Some of them probably just took each other out as well. Also, they're probably doing that because I bet they covered up that the Celestial Dragons were even there. Because they don't want the world to know. I'm sure it's said enough. Some people whisper about it, kind of. But the Celestial Dragons, what their activities like that are probably not ever publicly talked about in any of the papers. And then now we see them we see a bit of here of Kuma with his Bible later. The thing that led up with that, he's here in a church. The three of them are in a church, and he's praying for people that he was unable to save. And he's been there so long, though, he's kind of frustrating Ivankov. But it's Ginny, too, is like, oh, it's terrible what we couldn't do. She's crying a bit there. And we see, and then Ivankov says, oh, well, it's all thanks to that hand of liberation you have there. Without that, none of us would have been able to escape. So so we kind of see here, I guess we're kind of getting a thing where Kuma's still like, where this is where he probably how should I say, the seeds of them becoming revolutionaries eventually, because he wants to probably, much like Fisher Tiger does later, he's thinking, oh, I can save these people with this power. And so now we get a few more pages here with the flashback from Ginny and Kuma. First, Ivankov decides to head off to sea now. So he leaves and says his goodbyes to the other two. Oh wait, Kamuchi. Oh, is that Kuma's full name? Kamuchi? Because Ginny here decides she's going to stay with Kuma. And then we see Ivankov leave off in a little ship, kind of the way Luffy and Ace have. And now we get a thing where we're watching these two live together. And so we show them doing this little stuff where they're working together. He's cutting wood, and they're taking it into the city and selling it. And but at this point, we get a feel for the relationship too. Where this girl's she's younger than him. I think they stay here. She's 4 years old, and he's like 9. I think they said, right? Yeah. And she's he gets bullied by some little kids here at one point, and then Ginny steps in and kicks her ass. And I think they said the two are living in the church. By the way, they're going to stay hiding in this. It looks like it's a church that's been abandoned because it all looks kind of semi-decrepit from the outside, and on the inside, there's like stuff laying around everywhere. And even though these kids are beating up Kuma, we get to see his gentler side again because he comes up to the kids after she's knocked them out, and he's using his fruit to heal them, essentially, using it the way he did against on Luffy when he took out the pain in that bubble that Zoro took. And he seemed to just pop it out. Oh wait, looks like that page is messed up. Oh yeah, so wait, that's the end. So they before I should have looked at that better. So the thing to go back a little bit is we just see another page where the two of them are living together and they're eating food together, and it just shows them living together happily, and they're just like thinking, "This is great that we get to live this way now and have food the way we want." Yeah, I think that's the end of the chapter. Wait a minute, why is that one different? Hold on. That messed up. That's a little messed up. Wait. Why did that mess up like that? No, the other one's like that too, because this is chapter end, but it clearly, this is clearly a little messed up, because this is end when after Kuma has healed those two kids, and it just shows him, and the end of the chapter is him and Ginny just walking together. Well, he's carrying a satchel of wood that they're gonna go sell, and she's just sitting on his back singing. It's very cute. And that thing before must have been them. Yeah, it's just a cute chapter there. That's a really nice ending. So we don't know anything else about this girl yet. They from the shows here, they did escape right after they escaped right there from Saturn. No, that thing they left off to, they left a cliffhanger right there of how Kuma ended up escaping from Saturn, because he had him dead to rights there, essentially. He doesn't like transform or anything, Saturn. It shows him, actually what happened here, I didn't show up as it's mentioned too, is the panel jumps quickly. It shows, it looks like Big Mom's coming after Kuma. He eats it quickly. He gets away, he eats it quickly, and then Vankov's like, "Yes, this is our victory." Someone finally, one of us ate the fruit at least. And then suddenly Kuma's like, "Whoa, what's that?" And Saturn comes up, and it looks like he's using his arm and hockey type ability, and he just knocks him down. And he's just standing over Kuma with like flames all around the house they're near, the buildings. And they had that conversation I mentioned, and then they just switch after the two of them are having the conversation to the island, like I said. So I don't know, I'm guessing Roger or Rox probably showed up at that point. Or someone must have just stopped this. They left even a cliffhanger of how Kuma escaped. But then when we switch back to the Sorbet Kingdom, when they're there, it's like it must be like days or weeks later. they don't know what happened except what Morgan put in the paper. So there's something there they were missing. So that's the chapter. So what's really interesting to me too is how Ginny and Kuma had this whole plan ready to execute, and how well it happened to work. She they attracted all those pirates, so it wasn't even a purposeful raid by rocks. Uh, Although I still think with the way rocks is how we what Sengoku explained to us that he wants to be king of the world. When he found out about this through hearing Ginny sing, he probably thought, I can take advantage of this because there are celestial dragons there, and that means I could take a bunch of them out. Maybe I can take out, with this crew behind me, I can take out the God's Knights, and that will leave a huge deficit in that way in defense. It will take, and then we can go to Marijwa afterward. That's my guess is what Roger was really coming here for. Because even though Garp is pointing out like he thinks this was happening merely because of the devil fruit. And it's funny though, Roger, again, Garp only wanted to go there because he wanted to get Roger. Funny too, when Roger was on his vacation, I didn't mention this, he's just sitting there sunning on some beach there. You can see all the people in the background. He must be like a public beach somewhere. Looks like there's a woman in the background. So he clearly wasn't like, I wonder where Dragon was at this point. 38 years ago. Dragon would have been what? 17, 18? So he didn't know a hint of what that was. See, let me see who was behind Garp again. I think once we really could recognize there was Bogart. Let me zoom in there. There was someone with some wild long hair to the left of Garp. There was three others behind him. But one's got like short hair. It looks like it's in a knot, like a little top knot. And yeah, Dragon is clearly not in that shot. And when we look at Roger, actually it's a cool little detail there. If you look closely in the shots with each of them, Rox, Garp, and Roger, it shows a bit of their ship behind. It shows them like jumping off the ships. Also, there was someone else there I forgot to mention that's to the right of Whitebeard, who looks, he's got a really big head and no hair. And there's some other guy up and above who's got like claws. I wonder who that could be. Oh, this whole thing is so good. But I'm going to leave this here, and I'm going to be reanalyzing this and for another day. I've been on long enough. Yeah. So it is interesting too, again, to think about one last thing, how the devil fruits were there and what they were going to do with them. So yeah, there's just a lot to think about there. Also, one last thing, it looks like Hachiosu Island was a little different back then. I'm trying to think, it had some kind of thing sticking out the side, like a U on its side. So, and who the heck would they have sent to Hachinosu Island to steal? Oh, maybe Cypherpole could just do it. They probably had some really good agents back then too. Because Garp even says to, I think I said this earlier, Garp says to Kong, like, why would the world government be stupid enough to think they can go to this pirate island with the best of the worst there and steal something, and they wouldn't want to come back for it somehow. They wouldn't retaliate somehow. Like, they probably would have just gone, I don't know, maybe attacked a major base if they hadn't heard about this incident. If they didn't get Ginny's message, what would they have done in retaliation? It would have probably been pretty bad in the first place. But Garper's right, like, why the government's really lost their mind doing that. And one last little detail too, I noticed that Kuma has like, and the others all have targets on their back. I don't think I mentioned that before, but they obviously have these targets, so they would be, because I think there was one last thing with the rule where it said if you killed a slave or other person in one shot, you got bonus points. And where the hell did Ginny get those denden mushies? Okay, anyways, that's it for today. I'm going to leave the questions for another video.